Barry? Just come on, no problem. Just go ahead right up to the microphone and should be good.
Good morning. The first item on our civil law motion calendar this morning is the Bertrand Barry matter. Oh. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Thank you. All right, good morning. First item up this morning is Bertrand versus Barry. Good morning, Mr. Coffin.
Good morning, Your Honor.
What is before the court this morning is a motion by the plaintiffs in this case to strike the answer and enter a default. The court filed a detailed tentative ruling on the tentative ruling page, and the bottom line is that the plaintiff's motion for terminating sanction will be granted, the answer stricken, and a default judgment
I don't get a chance to talk.
will be entered.
It wasn't even. It was an ex parte. It was
Stop.
an ex parte meeting. It wasn't even a motion. It was ex parte.
Ms.
It wasn't a motion.
Ms. Barry, stop. All I was doing was stating what the court's tentative ruling is. The court does that before entertaining argument.
Okay.
This is in fact a motion. It was calendared forward onto the civil law and motion calendar for the express purpose of turning it into a motion without a need for yet another additional filing. So it was properly made and served, this motion. So that's where the court stands on that issue. If you have some argument you would like to make on the substance, the court will happily hear it with hopefully reasonable brevity. Ms. Berry, at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. The discovery process has been deeply defrauded by Mark Cofton. I have mentioned this in virtually every one of my court filings. Jan Kasner is evidenced as not working for me, even in his own paperwork that he provided to plaintiffs for discovery, supposedly on my behalf. It says he is working for a different client on the discovery. His signature line states that he is working for a person named Corey or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's not me. Mr. Kasner helped me with all of the discovery for both cases. He assisted me. Supposedly, I thought he was trying to help me, but in reality, he was hurting me the entire time. My very first issue with discovery is the fact that your ruling has been based on the declarations of Scott Jaschke and Mark Coffin, where I have implored Your Honor to seek already received paperwork from them which proves that they are fraudsters and shows their ability to not follow court rules and regulations, i.e. where Scott Jaschke, back then he was Garcia, had served only my lawyer and not me, which is illegal. You're supposed to serve somebody a judgment. He never served me on the unlawful detainer, which was a life-altering quality of life reducing judgment. He never served me, and that's evidenced by his own paperwork. So to have him say that he has done things that he has absolutely not is very frustrating for me. I have my phone which details, I've never deleted anything from these gentlemen, and they did not ever give me the discovery questions. They gave them to Jan Kasner, and Jan Kasner kept them and kept my file. And I've evidenced in the emails with Jan Kasner where he says in January 14th that I should soon be getting my file. Remember that he quit on my birthday, October 12th. So to have him then in January, in the middle of January, saying that soon I'll be getting my file is evidence to the fact that he's never provided my file or any of the relevant information. I tried 8 different times to get discovery questions from Mark Coffin and his assistant. How hard is it for them to email me? How hard is that to just give me the questions? Instead, I was given the runaround, and they played this charade about me being the problem, when in reality, I have already propounded 2 times the ordinary discovery to them, for them, thousands of documents, hundreds of pages of discovery I've done for them. Meanwhile, my life is being defiled, and my background has been defrauded. So I'm unable to even recover from the theft of my life savings. Not to mention...
I'm going to stop you here, Ms. Berry, because what we're looking at today is not all the things that happened in the unlawful detainer and in other lawsuits and the problems of your life. What we are looking at is what you have done in response to the complaint that was brought against you by Mr. Bertrand, the one that's before the court today. And as you see in the primitive ruling, the court review the chain of events and finds that the proper cooperation wasn't present, that you haven't done things properly, that you've been focused very tenaciously on the idea that everyone's been defrauding you, and you have not participated appropriately in this process. So
I've concentrated on the fact that Mark Coffin is committing fraud after fraud, and these are to perpetrate a multi-million-dollar fraud against the labor commissioner. And that is something that you and everybody else in California are going to have to pay for. And that is exactly what he's setting up with this. And my life is going to the cause of a multi-million-dollar fraud against the labor commissioner via 2 men who are proven with their own past paperwork to have defrauded this court and already committed egregious acts against me.
Well, here's
and not followed rules.
Here's what I have to say about that, is that if you're planning other actions and things you intend to do, the court encourages you to take whatever actions subsequent to this that
Jan
you do.
Kasner told me I couldn't file an action.
You should take whatever actions you deem appropriate in response to this or any other issues that you're facing. And the court would encourage you to do that.
The issues I'm facing are his fraud has lowered the value of my life and my time. And it's very obvious from the court paperwork that Mark Coffin instituted a fraud against me. This has gone unpoliced. And by the way, the narrative on this case is so factually, meaningfully incorrect. It is light years away from the truth. The truth being, I worked for a man for over 10 years. He saved my money. At the time when he was supposed to pay me,
You're stopping now.
He evicted me illegally.
Now, the difficulty is that the tape always rewinds to the same place. And again, while the court understands your frustration, my focus is on the case that's before me today. and also the fact that the matter always
I've
devolves
asked
into
for
accusing
discovery.
others
No, I've asked
of-
for discovery 8
accusing others
times.
of fraud and
I have
improper acts.
8 times I asked for discovery from them. 8
So,
different times. They
the
never
court,
gave it to me.
uh,
They've never given it to me. They never
Mr.
gave me the discovery.
Stop. Mr. Coffin, do you have anything that you wish to add?
Well, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't hear your question. I don't have anything to add to your ruling in the tentative, which I've read and will submit on that, of course. Unless you have any questions, I agree with your comment that the tape rewinds to the same place. I'd be happy to address any of Ms. Berry's accusations, which always to me seem to be of a very general and based nature. I don't know what she means when she says she has not received the questions. We have sent them to her multiple times.
No, you haven't.
And she was properly
You're
served
lying.
with them initially. She's seen them as exhibits to our various motions. So
He's
I'm
lying.
not sure what the problem is, and I can only conclude that the accusations she's making are pretextual, because Ms. Berry is not an unintelligent woman, in my estimation. She's a former stockbroker, and she passed several tests for licensure. She has the
Yes,
means
which you can no
and the
longer
capability to
Because
research
you've
the
erased
law.
that.
As the court is well aware, all parties, including pro per parties, are subject to the same rules of civil procedure. My client would never be able to get away with any of the things that Ms. Berry has done. So
Are you
I will
kidding?
leave it at that unless I can answer any questions.
No, the court has no further questions
Wait,
for you,
wait,
Mr. Coffin. And
One
again, Ms.
res-
Berry's argument, I would allow her more time, except that I've heard this.
Just one,
This
just
must be
one last
about
thing.
I can't even name how many times I've heard this same story, and it always rewinds to the same point. And the facts about dealing with the matter directly before the court remain unchanged.
One-
It's not been opposed.
One last comment, please. One last comment, please. I have a signed contract from David Bertrand as to owing me $52,000, and as to my lease being a month-to-month lease. And at that time that was due, I instead was given a fraudulent lease, or Mark Coffin had created a fraudulent lease and given
Ms.
me an
Berry?
unlawful detainer. So
Ms. Berry,
So how
Ms. Berry,
how am
I'm
I?
asking you to stop now, please. I think that this is the same.
I've tried to do them. I've tried to do the paperwork. I've jumped through so many hoops for them. I've propounded
Ms. Berry, you have to
thousands
stop.
of documents and hundreds of pages of
Ms.
type
Berry,
discovery.
I need you to
Thousands of
stop,
documents
please.
already given to them.
Ms. Berry, please don't talk over me. This is the same story
Your
that I
Honor,
have heard time after time. It always rewinds to matters that are not before the court in this action.
what's
that was
before the
brought by
court is the
Mr.
fact that I've
Bertrand.
not been given discovery ever. I've not been given the questions. How am I
Alright.
supposed to answer things when I've not been given the questions? They've
I'm
never given me the
I'm
questions.
going to conclude the hearing at this time because I've concluded that you've received the questions multiple.
Your Honor, I've concluded that every single ruling that you've had historically has always been for Mark Coffin and to Mark Coffin's financial benefit. Every single ruling that you have
Right.
ever made historically
Ms. Berry, we're done now.
has helped Mark Coffin financially.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your focus on your patience, folks.